Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
Yeah, I got a little emotional. Yeah, before I threw the first pitch. Obviously, I would have loved to pitch a little better. Hopefully the next one's going to be better. But it's excited. I got the first one out of the way. We got to win, and that takes over everything that I had an expectation for myself. I was kind of joking around today. I say, I'm going to try to hit it out. That's all I do. I try to hit it out in BP every day. So I'm going to try. But I think that I got lucky. I couldn't stop thinking about it. That life had given me another chance to be on the mound. It's giving me another chance to do what I love. It was experience that I never had before.
Night arrives in Miami, and so do the Cincinnati Reds. The Marlins and the Reds, a 4-gamer, last series before the All-Star break, and it starts in a big way, especially for the Marlins. Christian Yelich is hot. Billy Hamilton can run, and the Fish, a 4-game losing streak. Guess who's pitching tonight? Jose Fernandez on the mound. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. When you're trying to stop a losing streak, and the Marlins are, they've dropped 4 in a row, what better guy to have on the mound than your ace, Jose Fernandez?
Rich, he's 22 and he's back. He's making his second start. Last time out was against the San Francisco Giants. 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs. Jose is such a perfectionist. He wants to be better, and he wants to handle the nerves a little bit better in the first inning. But he has been absolutely tremendous pitching here at Marlins Park. Remember, the only blemish, one of the big blemishes in that game against the Giants, was the home run that Gregor Blanco hit against him. There are the numbers. 21 career starts here at Marlins Park, an ERA of 1.23, and he's yet to lose a game.
His opponent, the guy the Marlins will face tonight, the Fish have seen, and he beat the Marlins. Michael Lorenzen, a young guy with an interesting path to the big leagues and to the rotation.
These two pitchers are actually very interesting. They're both terrific athletes. Lorenzen, in college at Cal State Fullerton, was a closer, and when he didn't close, he hit .355 with 7 home runs. The Marlins saw him in Cincinnati, threw the ball very well in his 7 innings, gave up just those 2 runs. So 2 guys who swing the bat pretty well tonight, too.
Miami needs a win. They've got Jose Fernandez on the mound. The Reds are in. First of 4, Jose Day, part 2. It's the Fish and the Reds and Jose Fernandez tonight in Miami. By Jose Fernandez out to center. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine.
All right, Rich, thank you very much. Good to be with you again, everybody. The Marlins and the Reds, and it's an exciting night because Jose Fernandez makes start number 2 here prior to the All-Star break with 4 games to go.
Yeah, the encore a week ago, his first start in 14 months, was a spectacular, in my book anyway. 76% strikes, hits a home run, and the Marlins win the game.
More on Jose and what we expect to see tonight, perhaps, in his second start.
You got to see a guy that's going to go out there and give, number one, give 100% for my teammates, do everything that I can to go out and beat the other team. They're not my friends. I don't care who it is. If it's my mom playing against me, I'm going to try to get her out. That's the way they play, and I give my heart out there.
Well, that's what you got to love about Jose, what he brings to this team, what he brings to the mound on his starting days is pretty impressive.
It's exciting, too. All right, for the Marlins, we did get a chance to talk with Giancarlo Stanton today for the first time, returning from his injury, and they hope maybe end of July, beginning of August. That would be the light side. But for one, Giancarlo says he is healing. Things are getting better.
I don't know how many stitches. I was actually trying to figure that out the other day. But they're coming out pretty soon. I think they're ready in a few days. I think I'm right on track. The swelling is just about all the way down. Not full range of motion yet.
If you're going to have surgery, this is one of the best surgeries you're going to have. They take something out. They don't have to repair anything. So now it's just basically heal the wound and get back to activity.
You had it. Do you remember how long it took? 4 months, 4 weeks, 6 weeks?
I had a long process. They tried to put me in a cast first, which didn't work. So after the surgery, 4 weeks.
All right, we'll see if that is the case. If that is, that would be very end of July for Giancarlo Stanton. That's what you're looking at on the bright side. All right, Jose Fernandez takes the hill, trying to get this homestand off to a good start. You'll see it next, right here on Fox Sports Florida.
Jose Fernandez is in the house, on his way to the mound. The Reds and the Marlins ready to begin a 4-game series in Miami, leading into the All-Star game. Of course, that All-Star game is in Cincinnati, and it's on Fox. That's next Tuesday, kids. Jan Lexus brings you the starting lineup for the Reds, who won 2 in a row up against the Washington Nationals. Brandon Phillips leads it off. Joey Votto is in the 3 spot. Todd Frazier in the All-Star game and in that home run derby as well. Jay Bruce hurt the Marlins in the 3-gamer up in Cincinnati. Marlon Byrd did as well. He homered Eugenio Suarez had a big series as well. Tucker Barnhart is behind the plate. Michael Lorenzen will do the pitching, and he is in the 8th spot. Reds like to do that with Billy Hamilton trying to get his average up, and all that speed hits 9th.
There are the numbers for that first start of Jose's. It's a small sample size, but you're talking about a 22-year-old who's had out some time recovering from Tommy John. But a couple of career starts Jose Fernandez has had against the Cincinnati Reds. His record 0-1 and an ERA of 5.73. So a small sample size. He's given up 1 home run to the Reds. And was hit by Brandon Phillips, the guy he'll face first.
Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto, Todd Frazier. There's a lot of thunder at the top of the Reds order, and Phillips has got pop in the leadoff spot. Then you got Votto, you got Frazier, Jay Bruce, even Marlon Byrd in the 5 spot. And Fernandez starts his night with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball for a strike. Pinch a penny brings you the first pitch. Breaking ball misses down low.
I think the first inning, Rich, will be really important for Jose. Remember, he gave up a couple of runs, 3 hits to the Giants. He was just trying to settle in. He was trying to establish not only his fastball, but his slider and changeup as well. And the latter 2 pitches came a little later in the game.
Gregor Blanco, Joe Panik kind of ambushed him at the start. Brian Price, manager of the Reds, has had to manage a ball club that has been injured from the very start. Homer Bailey out. Their fine catcher Devin Mesoraco out. Shortstop Zach Cozart is out. The Marlins in a very similar situation. Fastball line foul and out of play.
97 on that last fastball. Martin Prado, good to see him amongst the group. He is not active, but he's played a couple of games as a designated hitter for Jupiter. Had a couple of hits last night.
1-2 breaking ball. Phillips drops the head of the bat. Yelich streaking in from center makes the catch. The Gold Glover finds himself in center field tonight.
And let's take a look at the rest of the defense, brought to you by BMW. With Yelich in center, he's flanked by Michael Morse and Cole Gillespie. Dietrich Echeverria, D. Gordon, the All-Star, he's at second. Justin Bohr at first. And Jeff Mathis, for the second time, is catching Jose Fernandez.
Michael Morse gets a start in left field. What a contrast to his last start in left, which was at Fenway Park. From tiny to enormous. Morse out in left with Yelich in center. Joey Votto at the plate. Votto, a bounce back year after a season filled with injury last year. That left quad so troublesome, he played in just 62 games. But he's back to being Joey Votto. On base percentage at .390, .492 slugging percentage, 14 doubles, 15 homers, a couple triples.
Well, the Reds like the home runs. They like the production of Joey Votto.
Jose's 0-2 bounces up there.
Talk about different lineups, certainly in different ballparks. Jose will be dealing with this Reds lineup. The 2 through 5 hitters have hit 66 home runs. The Marlins as a team have hit 70. And of course 27 of those by Big G.
Little swinging bunt, and Jose the throw on the money, and for the Marlins that's a sight for sore eyes.
You love to get outs against a tough hitter just like that. Certainly Votto was fooled. Good breaking ball. He's already thrown a couple of good sliders that we didn't see in that first inning against San Francisco.
It's a great point. And here is Frazier now. Todd Frazier, an all-star, and he played like it when the Marlins were in Cincinnati. His home run helped Michael Lorenzen beat the Fish in the 3rd and final game. The Reds took 2 of 3 for the Marlins. Frazier after the breaking ball missed it. It's 1-1.
Yeah, you're already seeing the difference and the adjustment that Jose's made here tonight.
Chuck Hernandez watching intently, very pleased with the first start of Fernandez, and he dials up 97 out in front, 1-2.
Breaking ball, then upstairs with 97.
Another fastball, this time 98.
Tell you what, folks, it's a treat. Enjoy what you have here in Miami. Hope you're watching tonight. And if you're not, hope you're out there in the stands. And if you're neither, then you're missing something.
Breaking ball misses, count 2-2. Frazier and the Reds took care of the Nationals. Jay Bruce and company were ready to go yesterday, but the game was rained out last night. Probably not a disappointment to the Nationals. They cannot beat the Reds for whatever reason. 2-2 in the air to left. Morse trying to pick it out of the lights. He does. He makes the catch. 1-2-3 in the first. Reds and Marlins underway in Miami. Jam Lexus brings you Miami's lineup. D. Gordon, an all-star. Christian Yelich in center. Danny Echeverria is third. Justin Bour in the cleanup spot. Michael Morse fifth. Derek Dietrich had 3 hits, a career high against the Red Sox yesterday. Cole Gillespie's had a nice, solid bat in right. Jeff Mathis, and then Jose hits 9th. And the first pitch, a strike from Michael Lorenzen. 23-year-old, still young, just out of Cal State Fullerton.
One of those guys who kind of made the skip from Double-A to the major leagues. 24 starts last year for Lorenzen in Double-A.
D. Gordon sends that one foul. Marlins would like to get D. Gordon back, because Gordon is really the first prolonged dip of his season. Average sitting at 333. Gordon, a liner,
there you go,
into left center field. That's a base hit.
That's a way to get him back, Rich. All-star second baseman. He'll be starting in Cincinnati.
Second selection for D. Gordon. He was an all-star with a solid first half last year as a Dodger.
And we didn't have time with that base hit to put number 118 up there. He got it so quickly. He was very appreciative of the fans here in Miami and South Florida, plus the fans in Los Angeles, too.
Gordon back with the dive. If Gordon can get on base in this series, this will be a fun series to watch for base stealers. The Reds run and run a lot, especially with Billy Hamilton. Yelich, the hottest hitter that the Marlins have, takes outside. Hamilton out in center, leading baseball in stolen bases. The Reds themselves leading the National League in stolen bases. 83. Gordon's running. Yelich is taking. The throw down, and he is safe. Got the hand in there. The tag by Suarez. Reds will go to the phone, take a look at the video, and we get our first look.
Naked eye tells me he got the hand in there. It appears so. He stayed right on the bag. And he is safe.
A little closer in the replay than you thought it was to the naked eye. Gordon's at second, and Yelich fouls it off. Christian Yelich's season included a lower back strain. You see Gordon out 31. He's behind Hamilton. And for Yelich, there wasn't a lot of complaining or a lot of excuse making, but he certainly is a different hitter now than the month to 5 weeks that he was battling that lower back. He showed that off in the road trip in Chicago and in Boston.
Yeah, without question. You go back all the way to June 1st, and Christian Yelich has hit over 300, 308. He had his 9-game hitting streak snapped last night, but Dan Jennings has seen a very solid Christian Yelich.
Not a big lead for Gordon at second. Lorenzen will spin around. The Reds an interesting spot for Cincinnati going into the All-Star break. They're at 38 and 44. Yelich swings and misses, and the ball in the dirt is knocked down by Barnhart. There's one out. Here comes Echeverria. Here comes the Reds defense as well.
Just don't see Yelich go out of the zone that often. Again, brought to you by BMW. There's Marlon Byrd, Billy Hamilton. We've talked about Jay Bruce, solid in right field. Frazier at third, Votto at first. EUGENIO Suarez at short. Brandon Phillips, the second baseman. Tucker Barnhart behind the plate. They're fifth in the league in defense. The Reds have committed 46 errors.
BMW bringing you the Reds defense. Echeverria now. The absence of Giancarlo Stanton, of Martin Prado, of Marcell Ozuna, now in AAA, trying to find his swing. Dan Jennings had to remold and piece together the lineup. Echeverria has found himself in the 3 spot.
You talk about the makeup of a lineup, and then you think when Prado comes back, when Stanton comes back, just those two, what a difference it makes in the lineup and what that'll do in changing where Echeverria hits.
Almost got him. Is this an audition for a guy like Echeverria, who hit so well in the 8th spot? Many people said, hey, you should move him up to 2 or move him higher in the order.
Well, it's a forced audition. But I think it does show with the way he's responded that, yeah, you could put him somewhere other than number 8.
Not all auditions are by choice. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Miami shortstop. A 1-2-3 first. Jose Fernandez on the mound. Michael Lorenzen. Breaking ball, bouncer to short. Suarez, who's played well in the absence of Cozart. And there are 2 outs. Gordon holds at second.
Actually, a little bit of a mistake. I think D. Gordon, if he had that to do all over again, the ball wasn't hit sharply, and he immediately went back to second. If he breaks, toward third, he can make that ball be behind him. And with his speed, the only play for Suarez would have been to first base. But it's a nitpicky thing because any base hit, he's going to score anyway.
Justin Bour. Justin Bour likes Cincinnati, not for the Skyline Chili, which I suspect he is fond of, but the ballpark and the series that he had. Remember that Sunday, he had a homer and a double. And both those hits came against Lorenzen. There goes Gordon. And not even a glance.
So one way or the other, D. Gordon was going to get the third.
Not even a glance from Barnhart. So a pair of stolen bases for Gordon. A ball and a strike to Bour. Bour hits it to center, hits it a long way. Hamilton back at the track, looks up, off the wall. Gordon scores, and Bour has himself an RBI double. And right now he owns Michael Lorenzen.
Boy, a big smile from the big guy as he crushed that ball off that center field wall. 6 doubles on the year to go along with his 10 home runs. That RBI number 22. 86 miles an hour, probably a changeup. Chases Billy Hamilton, and the Marlins take a 1-0 lead. See that helmet of Justin Bour out of the Hanley Ramirez book. All the pine tar up there.
Martin Prado has that same helmet look. Fastball misses into Michael Morse. One of the big missing pieces for Miami in the first half was the bat of Michael Morse. Got off to a slow start, then injured a finger. Back last night, and he showed the power that has made him a feared hitter at times in the big leagues. He showed it last night.
Yeah, this was great to see for Michael Morse. Not only the home run, but he had a single earlier in the game. Just to see him swing the bat that way, which is so important to this lineup.
Lorenzen misses up and in. 3-0, and you've got Dietrich on deck. And a 4-pitch walk. Morse is on his way to first.
So a couple of guys in the lineup tonight that had a good series in Cincinnati. Talked about Justin Bour, also Derek Dietrich. How about a scouting report on the 23-year-old? Fastball has a little life to it, kind of a slurvy slider. Worked with a curveball a little bit midway through the season last year, and we've talked about his ability as a hitter. Played the outfield, was a good hitter at Cal State Fullerton.
And a couple of Dietrich's hits in that series came against Lorenzen. That same game that Bour did some damage. Dietrich had a double and a single. He homered twice in Cincinnati. Strike. And a ball and a strike. It's 1-2. Now there's a lot of ways you can look at the Marlins situation right now. They are 15 under. That's the low water mark on the season. Dan Jennings doesn't have his full complement of players. One way to look at it, if you're Derek Dietrich, if you're Justin Bour, if you're Cole Gillespie, this is a great opportunity to prove yourself in the big leagues. Prove yourself to the organization you're playing for. Prove yourself to other organizations.
Those are the areas you dig down and reach for when you are struggling and when your team is struggling. And you know when certain guys come back, hey, maybe you might not be in that starting lineup, but you know what? You'd rather be here than in New Orleans or Jacksonville.
Dietrich gets hit. Eric Dietrich, Anthony Rizzo-like at the plate at times, attracting a baseball.
Well, he does. He stands on the plate. He's not afraid to get hit. He just kind of turns a lot, takes a lot of shots off that pad on the elbow. Just like that, bases are loaded.
Bags loaded for Cole Gillespie. Now to the mound, Jeff Pico, pitching coach for the Reds.
I think it always takes a certain type of personality to be a pitching coach such as Jeff Pico when you have a manager who is such a good pitching coach in Brian Price.
Yeah, we talk about the dynamics of that. We were talking with Carl Pavano last night about playing for a manager that was a pitcher. John Farrell, obviously, of the Red Sox, one of those. Bud Black was until he was let go. And all three of those guys, superb pitching coaches. Farrell, Black, and Price. A strike to Gillespie. Cole Gillespie has swung the bat well. He's got a nice opportunity here. Bags loaded, 2 outs. Sprays a ground ball, Votto's way. Picks it up, gets to the bag, and the inning is over. Miami leaves him loaded, but is on the board and leads it 1-0. First of 4, Reds in town, Marlins and Reds. A Justin Bour double, knocked home D. Gordon. Jose Fernandez has a 1-0 lead. Jay Bruce, Marlon Byrd, Eugenio Suarez. First pitch fastball misses away. Fernandez looks sharp. 15 pitches, a 1-2-3 first. Jay Bruce reaches out, pops it foul and out of play. Bruce did some damage in that series up in Cincinnati. He and Todd Frazier both had 2-run homers in that Sunday 5-2 Reds win.
Good to see Giancarlo. And good to hear that things are healing. And hopefully when you say 4 to 6 weeks, we're looking at the short end.
Just a good hard fastball at 96. And Bruce goes down. Going out here in the second. Tomorrow, Tommy, it's Christmas in July, so make sure you're a good boy tonight. Marlins and Reds at 7:10. You can get the Christmas in July special event package. Just $25. Fans get a Marlins Energy Team poster courtesy of Miccosukee Resort and Gaming. Play 24/7 and win big. Plus, enjoy post-game fireworks presented by Preferred Care Partners. You can hang your stocking up in front of the Energy Team poster.
That's right. I may look for cookies and a beverage tonight.
Marlon Byrd for the Reds. A liner over the head of Dietrich. Over to get it is Morse. Byrd around first. He's going to try Morse, who had some difficulty getting the ball, and he gets it in. It's a double for Marlon Byrd. I would expect you're going to see a lot of bad sweaters, which you often do during the holiday season.
See, this would go good with a bad green sweater. See, there you go.
It's a bad sweater t-shirt.
I like that.
Looks good on you.
Okay.
Do you get a, what was the line for Caddyshack? Get a bowl of soup with that hat? Breaking ball, a strike to Suarez. Shortstop for the Reds. In 22 games, this youngster has played quite well. Big shoes to fill. Zach Cozart, both with the glove and with the bat, was having a nice year before his season ended with a gruesome knee injury while running out a ground ball.
Yeah, Cozart had 9 home runs in his 53 games.
What's on your wish list for Chris? I mean, let's play this up as much as we can. It's our job. It's what we do. What's on your wish list for Christmas in July?
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't thought that far ahead for December yet. Everybody to come back healthy.
There you go.
I want to see Big G back healthy. I want to see Henderson Alvarez. I want to see Jose continuing to throw like that. Boy, the ball, you hear the term, how the ball comes out of his hand with ease. And that one popped in there with ease.
Tucker Barnhart now. Barnhart fouls it back out of play.
I want to see Marcell Ozuna put things together in AAA. Come back and swing the bat the way we saw him last year. Is that asking for too much?
Depends. Have you been a good boy or a bad boy?
Been all right.
Here's the 0-1.
I'm wishing for an on-time arrival every so often. That's all.
Yeah, you know, the Reds actually were rained out yesterday, and as you noted, they'd probably beat the Marlins to Miami, but they didn't beat them by much. Their plane wasn't ready. They had to hang around D.C. Marlins played that game late into the night in Boston, and by the time the Fish got to Miami, swing and a miss at a breaking ball. It's 1-2. So I think both teams a little bit fatigued here tonight. But
good news is that Jose, and which a lot of teams do, Jose left Boston yesterday late morning, so he was able to get to Miami, get a good night's rest, see his grandma, see his mom.
There's Abuela here, his mom as well. The 1-2. And it's not like Jose really needs a shot of 5-hour energy. But anytime he gets the ball.
Here's the thing, though, Rich. He gives his entire team that 5-hour shot of energy when he's out there on the mound. It's contagious.
That's right. Two-two. Tapper, Echeverria comes to get it. Flips to first in time. Fernandez gives up a double to Marlon Byrd. Mom and Abuela like it. 1-0 Miami. Brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By Kaiser University. For more information, go to kaiser.edu. By Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealer. Visit us at floridacoasteq.com. And by Auto Nation. Visit us online at autonation.com. In Miami tonight, the Reds are here. Jose is pitching, and the Marlins have a 1-0 lead. So far, so good. Batting gloves on, helmet at the ready. Fernandez due up second here in the second inning. Jeff Mathis leads it off. D. Gordon in the 3 spot. Michael Lorenzen, who was a mystery to the Marlins on that Sunday in Cincinnati, had a slew of base runners in the first. Miami got a run and then left them loaded. A walk, a hit batter, RBI double by Justin Bour. D. Gordon a single, couple stolen bases. And 28 pitches by Lorenzen. That pitch misses away, and it's 2-0. And Lorenzen doesn't seem to have the tightest of command.
Hey, Jose, some kids, there's 3 or 4 kids sitting right there in that front row behind the on-deck circle. He's talking to them, having some fun. Kids will never forget that.
Mathis could not check his swing at a low 2-0 pitch, and the count's 2-1. Bouncer, Frazier gets the out. Tomorrow, Clint Dempsey, the United States men's national team, continue their quest for a second consecutive Gold Cup title. They take on Haiti. Coverage begins at 8 Eastern right here on Fox Sports 1. It streams live on Fox Sports Go. Jose bounces it out to short. And throw to first by Suarez. Jose out of the box a little quicker, and then all of a sudden realized, yeah, that's right, I'm trying to conserve my energy.
Well, you want him to try to hang in there as long as possible as far as innings, number of pitches, because certainly Dan Jennings and Chuck Hernandez will keep a close eye on all of that. Boy, with D. Gordon getting that base hit in the first inning, you see the importance of him getting on base. A couple of stolen bases, and he came in to score. Haven't seen a lot of bunt attempts, mainly because third baseman just plays so far in when he's up there.
Lorenzen could not throw a strike, and it's his second 4-pitch walk. Not a pretty split for the right-hander out of Fullerton, who's pitched well. Look at Jeff Pico, pitching coach for the Reds. Look at Lorenzen's last 3 starts. Beat the Tigers. Beat the Marlins. Pitched well against the Mets in a loss.
He's a guy, too, Rich, when he signed, because he was a closer in college, his first year in professional baseball, his first year in the minor leagues, he only started 1 game. He worked out of the bullpen. His second year, all of a sudden, they made him a starting pitcher.
Reds pitch out. Gordon going nowhere. 2 stolen bases already for D. Gordon. He swiped second on a close play, and then stole third without a throw. Yelich struck out. There are 2 outs. So Gordon runs here. He bluffs. See Barnhart out and ready to throw. There's always that age-old adage that if you hit behind a base stealer, you're going to get fastballs. That's true, but there's a lot of distractions that go along with that luxury.
It isn't always that easy.
Gordon runs, pitches out, throw is wide, out at second. Gordon, hand on the bag. Marlins will take a peek. Suarez swiped the glove. Gordon tried to get under it. Not a strong reaction from Gordon. So I think Suarez got a piece of him. And here's our first look. Oh,
it looked like he caught the back leg when the hand was already on the bag. That's
I think so.
Might be worth looking at. Sometimes when you're the runner, it's hard to tell. So Pat Shine, Marlins replay coordinator, on the phone with Dan Jennings. If he doesn't get him until he gets the back leg, he has a chance. And then does his hand stay on the bag? That's the other thing to consider.
Right there. Oh, that's close. And the Marlins will not challenge. That's one of those where I don't know if there's enough to overturn it. It's early enough in the game that it is a gamble. 1-0 Miami.
Two of the best speedsters in the game. Billy Hamilton on the left will be up second this inning. D. Gordon, of course, with 2 steals. Now caught once with that very close play. D's been caught 12 times this year. He's got 32 steals. Second in the league. Billy Hamilton with 42 steals this year. Has only been caught 6 times. Last year, well over 50 steals. I talked with Billy today, and he said there's nothing better than a stolen base. He said we got to do away with those home run derbies and have a stolen base derby. And I asked him what have you learned on the major league level from the stealing standpoint. Last year he was thrown out 23 times. And he told me he's less anxious now, picks his spots better. He said when he was in the minor leagues, he just takes second, take third, didn't really think about the pitches, the count, the situation. Now he said he's improved on all that. But he said no better feeling, guys, than swiping a bag. And he's doing it at a tremendous rate, 42 out of 48 this year. The problem for him, of course, is can he get on base? Guys?
That's right, Craig. On-base percentage of 271. Just think of all the bases he would get if his on-base were even the low 300s, 320, 330.
Well, you have the old baseball adage, you can't steal first, so he's got to get there to pick up steals.
Jose Fernandez strikes out the pitcher, Michael Lorenzen. And the 9th spot, that's where Billy Hamilton resides. And one of the reasons why is I mean, the Reds would love to have at the top of their lineup. But as we just talked about, he's not getting on base enough. And the hope is that putting him ninth takes pressure off of him. You don't want to hit him eighth, because that's added pressure for a guy that's not hitting much.
Yeah, I think if he had an on-base percentage of 340, Brian Price would probably have him at the top of the lineup.
Hamilton lines it left field line. Morse is over, and with a little apprehension approached that one.
This is going to be tough for Michael Morse. Remember, at the beginning of the year, he was playing first base. He played there in his 10 or 12 rehab games. Not used to the outfield too much. Remember the other night he started in left field at Fenway, but Jeff Baker pulled an oblique, and all of a sudden Michael Morse came in to play first base. Not to mention, this is a spacious left field.
Got to go get him, and the throw goes through Bohr, but it's a base hit. Billy Hamilton, once that ball got in the air, D. Gordon knew exactly what he had to do, and that was pick it and rip it.
You got to come and charge, which he does. A little bit of a short hop, and I think it doesn't matter. He did everything that you can do, and Billy Hamilton just beat the throw. So base hit all the way.
So now the pressure is on Jose Fernandez and Jeff Mathis. Billy Hamilton with his 42 stolen bases, and he's only been caught 6 times. Is at first base.
Better percentage than last year for him.
Jose quick to the plate and rapid once the ball leaves his hand. 96 miles an hour. It's 0-1. Phillips, a soft fly ball to left center, his first time up. Hamilton has become a really good center fielder. Tiny center field in Cincinnati, but his speed really plays in a park like this or Coors Field. Ball and a strike. Brandon Phillips. Reds have 2 All-Stars. Todd Frazier and Aroldis Chapman. Will Aroldis Chapman be a Red when August comes? That is a question that I think many around the All-Star game will be asking. Because the Reds find themselves in a similar spot with the Marlins. Teams knocking on their door, especially looking for pitching help. Cincinnati playing in a very competitive National League Central. Two excellent teams at the top of the division, the Cardinals and the Pirates, and the Cubs, who are rapidly gaining experience and wins as they go.
Boy, the 2 young All-Stars, and Bryant and Rizzo, both in the home run derby too.
D. Gordon makes the catch. Hamilton still at first. Good time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag FLDataStrongFan. And you just might see yourself in an upcoming telecast brought to you by T-Mobile. Does that mean wear a muscle shirt?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it the other night. We could see Muscle Boy, who's a grown man now.
Hamilton. Jose's done a terrific job of varying his tempo, throws over, and so far Hamilton hasn't budged.
He's done what you want to see every pitcher do to try to hold a speedy runner. He's changed, quickened his delivery. He's changed it. He's gone over to first easy. Sometimes he pauses a little longer. Anything to disrupt the flow.
The trick, and the great ones are able to do this, is to do all the things you just described and not lose focus on the plate.
So far he hasn't.
I mean, look at that. That is a gorgeous changeup to a really good hitter in VOTTO, and he did it with a quick delivery.
Yeah, look at the grip, the rotation of the ball moving away to VOTTO. He also made good pitches to Phillips.
Some guys will have a quick delivery and the pitch ends up a foot outside or up in the zone. Hamilton's still there, the 1-1. You count 1-2. And you got to think, if the Reds have any hopes of getting Hamilton second, he's about out of pitches here.
Yeah, with 2 strikes, you would expect Hamilton would soon be leaving.
Jose chases him back. For a guy that has an on-base percentage of only .271, to have 42 stolen bases means he's running just about every time he gets on base. Still not running, and it's up. Obviously, there are times in a game, if the Reds are behind a bunch or ahead a bunch, you shut the running game down. Struck him out. How about that? Jose Fernandez keeps Billy Hamilton at first base and then goes out and gets Brandon Phillips to pop up and strikes out Joey Votto. 1-0 Miami. Portion of the telecast. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the account and the descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Christian Yelich swings and misses at a changeup. Danny Echeverria, Justin Bour follow. Bottom three. Michael Lorenzen went 1-2-3 in the second with the help of his catcher, Tucker Barnhart. Votto sweeps the throw back to Lorenzen. And Yelich is out number 1. Here comes a Danny Echeverria.
Michael Lorenzen had an older brother, has an older brother that was drafted by the Dodgers quite a few years ago, 10 years older, and big influence on his life. Talking the game, not even sitting down.
You wonder if that conversation is about holding Hamilton. Driving to right center field. That's a base hit. Echeverria around first. And he holds there. I mean, who better to get tips on holding runners than D. Gordon?
Back to that nice stroke of a Danny Echeverria. Lets the ball get to him, get deep, and then flips it out into right center.
Now Bour.
What is Bour now? 3 for 4 in his career against Lorenzen. Double, home run.
Now, see, that's what I'm thinking on that strong fan photo. He's got an old school tat on that right. It's a gun show, Tommy.
Yeah. He's got to have the new school on the other arm.
Or takes in.
Rich and I are going to do that on our next road trip.
Yeah, Old Town, San Diego. There's a couple of.
I think there are a couple places, yeah, near the team hotel.
4 or 5 blocks from Petco. Mark Grant told us about him. Here's the 3-0. It's out, and Bour walks.
Well, a lot of pitches and not a good ratio to this point for Lorenzen. It looked like he didn't want to give Justin Bour anything to hit.
Now Michael Morse walked on 4 pitches back in the first. Here's the opportunity for the Fish. You've got Michael Lorenzen, who has walked a hitter in every inning. The question is, can you take advantage of it? Morse fouls it over the screen. Reading a report from Joe Frisaro on MLB.com. Is confirming that the Marlins are ready to make a strong push to sign Casey McGee, who is waiting till tonight to clear waivers. It's being reported by MLB.com that they've confirmed the Marlins, and this is a quote, the Marlins are ready to make a strong push once he is declared a free agent. Dan Jennings earlier tonight said that there's nothing imminent. Nothing has been done yet. Morse, a soft ground ball to third. Frazier has it and tags out Echeverria. Here comes Dietrich, and here comes Saturday. Remember, Saturday is a 4:10 start. It's also a Saturday spectacular. Big concert. Tommy Hutton has been getting ready for the big salsa dance. All you can eat seats, $35 after the game. Jerry Rivera, Puerto Rican salsa star, presented by Bacardi. It's a good sponsor for Jerry Rivera. Go to Marlins.com for tickets, and for you, Tommy.
I was working a little bit on my salsa moves the other night in Boston.
Dietrich, big swing. If you had a kink in your back, now it's gone. If you're Dietrich, a big swing like that.
I thought you were asking me if I had a kink in my back from the salsa moves.
Well, we'll see your moves on Saturday night, the post-game concert. Though we may have to ply you with Bacardi to get you out there. Dietrich hit by a pitch in the first. Again, Lorenzen's had a lot of base runners out there. Marlins left them loaded in the first. They've got 2 out there, but now there are 2 outs. He buried that breaking ball. Dietrich swung right over it.
The Marlins get in that mode that they've been in way too often over the last few weeks, and that's trying to get that big hit. Just 1 for 5 tonight. Runners in scoring position.
Swing and a miss. Lorenzen strikes out Dietrich. Miami strands 2 more. 1-0 Fish.
Runs this year for Frazier on the year. Todd Frazier's got 15 of those homers at home, and he agreed yesterday to participate in the home run derby. He'll be the number 2 seed. A little different format this year. They're going to seedings. The top 8, you got Pujols, Bryant, Peterson, Machado, Donaldson, Rizzo, and Todd Frazier and Prince Fielder in a 2-7 matchup. Now, here's the difference. In the past years, they've had outs, and now they're going to a time format, 5 minutes. As many homers as you can hit, you can earn some bonus time. If you hit a couple of homers over 420 feet, you get an additional minute. If you can hit one as much as 470 plus feet, you get an extra 30 seconds. So you can get a bonus of 1:30. Frazier said he's excited to be doing it at home. He was the runner-up last year to Cespedes. He says having a little home field advantage, maybe knowing the winds. He also says important to have power both ways. But it's going to be a very fun home run derby. But I am sure, like you and many Marlin fans and baseball fans, there's something missing with Big G sitting 10 feet away from me. And right now, of course, will not be at the All-Star game. He may still go, guys. He's told us today he'll decide, but of course he won't be participating in either the game or the home run derby.
You know, I think Craig made one of the factors and I don't know this for sure, but my guess would be one of the factors would be Giancarlo Stanton and D. Gordon have grown pretty close this season. And I think it would be a lot of fun to go to the All-Star game with D. Gordon. The other would be if A.J. Ramos were to make it. Ramos is a guy that you expect is waiting to see who can pitch and who can't pitch. For instance, Johnny Cueto throws on Sunday in this series. He's leading right now. He could be voted in and not be able to pitch. So you never know.
I think also Major League Baseball would, I'm sure, like to see Giancarlo in Cincinnati. I like the format. I like the changes. I think it's going to put a little pressure on the guys that are throwing batting practice, whoever each hitter chooses as their batting practice pitcher.
Giancarlo also has a terrific relationship with Rob Manfred, the commissioner. Those two spent a lot of time together in New York in that play ball initiative. Stanton was one of the Marlins representatives. The commissioner was there. Craig, you were there as well.
Yeah, that was an absolute fun day across the street from Yankee Stadium. And I know Giancarlo today said he's got a couple of things. If it works out, he may still go to Cincinnati. But he does still have those scars there, and the stitches are still on his hand. Hopefully a few more days on that. Pretty long scar, longer maybe than you would think. One other note on the home run derby. The last minute, they're going to have the clock actually stop if you hit a home run ball, and it won't start again until a non-home run ball lands or you hit a swing and a miss. So there's a little flexibility on the time, but I think it is a good format. Sometimes you saw, 5 pitches in a row, no one swinging, and it kind of made it a long process. I think it's going to move a lot better.
I think what's unfortunate had with us not being able to see Giancarlo in Great American Ballpark. I mean, he can flip balls the other way into right field. You don't have to hit him to the pull field, especially a guy like Big G.
Echeverria to the bag, to first, gets the double play. Terrific pitch by Jose Fernandez. Jay Bruce bounces into a double play. 2 outs for Marlon Byrd.
I think tonight, Rich, we have seen a much different. There's a good changeup. He's thrown some really good changeups, especially to VOTTO and Bruce, the left-handed hitters. We have seen a more calm Jose Fernandez, especially in that first inning. He had a nice 1-2-3 inning, established his secondary pitches. Well, he's on a mission tonight, and just once again, a joy to watch.
I think in that mission, he's seeking the 7th inning, the 8th inning, and the 9th inning. Whether he gets there is another story, but I think what you're seeing is a guy who's not trying to strike everybody out. He's looking for bad contact.
He's told you and I many times over the last couple of years that there are moments in a game where he sees that he would like to go a little deeper, so because of that, he'll pitch more to contact. And that's a 22-year-old talking.
See the ball strike ratio, very, very good. 55th pitch of the game. There's 2 outs here in the 4th. Yeah, it's a fastball, and he throws it by Marlon Byrd. That is strikeout number 4. Hadn't walked a hitter yet this year. And the Marlins at home and on top, 1-0. Miami Marlins baseball is brought to you by Checkers. Crazy good food. Jose Fernandez, 5 strikeouts through his 4 innings. The Marlins have the lead, 1-0. To compare Fernandez and Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen's been on the ropes just about every inning. Marlins did get a run on a Justin Bour 410-foot double. That was in the first.
Well, it's been a struggle. There's no question for the Marlins trying to score runs on the road trip in pretty good hitters' parks, Wrigley Field and Fenway Park. The Marlins scored 10 runs total on that road trip.
Lorenzen walked and hit a batter. Gave up a run and 2 hits in the first. Walked another hitter in the second. Gordon was caught stealing. And in the third, a hit and a walk with 1 out. He struck out Morse and Dietrich to get out of the inning. So 5 stranded. Gillespie, Mathis, and then Jose Fernandez. The short, Suarez gets the out. And now we unveil our Toyota trend. Reds pitchers this season. 5 rookies have started at least 3 games. 1935 was the last time that happened. Homer Bailey hurt. Tony Cingrani hurt. Both those guys on the disabled list. Jeff Pico, Brian Price have had to really be creative. Former Marlin Anthony DeSclafani has been a nice piece in the rotation. They've got the veterans in Leak and Cueto. Cueto was just outstanding his last start up in D.C. as he beat the Nationals. And this lineup, this Reds lineup, dismantled Max Scherzer a couple starts ago.
Yeah, you talk about those rookies, Lorenzen being one, John Moscott, Raisel Iglesias. DeSclafani not a rookie, but right on the fringe in his second year. But no rookies the rest of this series that the Marlins will face.
The bat and the ball end up out at short. Suarez on to first, and Lorenzen dials it in the fourth. We've played 4. That stings a little. It's 1-0 Miami. hits without a run. Jose Fernandez sharp on the mound, congenial off the mound.
See, he talks to everybody. That's what's great. Talk to Chuck, talk to Dan Jennings, talking over some things. Martin Prado, welcome back. Get well soon. His catcher always involved in the conversation. Remember, he had that conversation with D. Gordon.
He and Brandon Phillips. Marlon Bird.
Whoever runs in, yeah. Bird coming in from the outfield.
That's exactly how he was on the team flight out of here. After his first start, he spoke to everybody, from the captain to the flight attendants.
Helped to serve meals. What was his first flight of the season with the ball club?
Eugenio Suarez, Tucker Barnhart, and Michael Lorenzen. Good live fastball. That one popped up. Almost made it back up here.
That's as close as we have seen a ball come back our way. Just in the section of suites below us. We were ready, though.
Jeff Mathis with a difficult pickup on a ball that bounced well in front of the plate. You don't often see a major league hitter swing at a ball that bounces that far in front of the plate.
The thing to me that I think really stands out in Jose tonight is it, I mean, the stuff is still there. It's electric. He really gets him to chase a bad pitch. The stuff is still there, but it's almost like he's toned everything down on the mound.
Barnhart. Yelich.
2 outs. It's like he wants to pitch a complete game.
It sure looks that way. Saturday, Tigers Twins. Only on Fox Sports 1, 4 Eastern, 7 Eastern. Baseball night in America. Yankees and Red Sox on your local Fox station all this week. On your home for baseball every Saturday, Fox Sports 1. Lorenzen fouls it back. To right, Gillespie. Foul territory, makes a catch. That's a 7-pitch inning for Jose Fernandez. 1-0 Miami. Tommy Hunt, you remember this ball game?
Boy, what a comeback. He raced a 7-run deficit and a 10-run inning, beating the Diamondbacks. I tell you what, no lead is safe in that ballpark.
Jeremy Hermida with a big night. How about Brett Carroll, ladies and gentlemen?
Dan Uggla had a 4-for-6 ball game that night. Hermida 3-for-5.
Even Gonzo had a hit in his old stomping grounds. Marlins had 17 hits, scored 14 times.
And the winning pitcher for the Marlins in that game, Kiko Calero.
Andrew Miller started and went 2 2/3. Miller gave up 6 runs, 2 of them earned.
How about the Hopper pitched in that game?
Line smash off the glove. The diving Suarez, and T. Gordon has been on base all 3 times. He leads off the 5th with a hit, and now the cat and mouse game continues between Lorenzen and Gordon.
On base all 3 times tonight. 2 singles, a walk. T. Gordon appears to have that nice swing back. 119 hits on the year now.
Ball crawled right up his back. Now Yelich, who was struck out and bounced out. Yelich certainly aware of Gordon at first. Gordon swiped 2 bags in the first, was caught stealing in the second. The caught stealing was scrutinized by the replay room. A tag, back leg, just as his hand arrived. But it wasn't decisive, and that early in the game, a lot of managers are loath to use that challenge if you're not quite sure.
Wow, that ball just missed Jose Fernandez in the Marlin dugout. He was kind of heading back, walking toward the runway.
Lenny Harris picks it up. Votto bails out Lorenzen with that pick.
It's one of those games that Lorenzen has, I mean, he's had his issues and battles. Not a good ratio, balls to strikes, but all he has to do is look up the scoreboard and he's in a 1-0 game.
Such a different feel from watching Fernandez. I mean, Jose has struck out 6, hasn't walked anybody, given up 3 hits,
and has thrown just 62 pitches.
Lorenzen's given up only 4 hits, but he's walked 3 and hit a batter.
Fairly quick to the plate. Good delivery by Lorenzen. So he's not giving D. Gordon a great opportunity to steal.
And Barnhart has had a really good year at throwing out runners. 36% coming in. And he's thrown Gordon out 1 of 3 times tonight. Anything over 30% in the big leagues is good. You get high 30s, low 40s, that's Molina territory.
He said Christian Yelich tied up a little bit tonight. Yelich hasn't really had good swings. He's made some good pitches. He's a lot of off-speed stuff to him. Struck him out on a pitch in the first inning that Yelich chased. You don't see him do that too often.
Runner goes, pitches down. And Yelich walks. We have said this from the first inning. Marlins have had opportunities to add on. And now, first and second, and nobody out. And the number 3 hitter, Adeiny Hechavarria, up.
And this is really one of those opportunities. You've got the meat of the order. You have a pitcher who may be starting to tire a little bit, might be in his last inning or so. Ryan Price may be thinking about his bullpen. So you want to try to jump on Lorenzen when you have that, what could be last opportunity.
Gordon going to third now, and he's in there. Talk about cat and mouse.
A little indecision on both parts, a little bit on D's, and then a little bit on Tucker Barnhart, the catcher. It should go as a stolen base. First he starts to go, sees the ball's not far enough away, and then regroups and is able to get the burners going again. Barnhart upset at himself.
At the corners.
And it is stolen base number 3 tonight for Gordon. He's trying to catch Billy Hamilton tonight.
Gordon now at 33 on the season. Hamilton at 42. Two and 0 to Hechavarria. Hard up the middle. The Reds will get 2. Miami gets a run. And it's a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, it's like, you know, good news, you get the run, but the bad news, the Reds get a quick 2 outs. But the play, the heads-up play by D. Gordon, if he's not at third, it's a whole different story. So good job on his part with that stolen base. You know, he's stolen third in his career 22 of 26 times.
He had a good head of steam headed right to the fish tank. It's like the sprinters in those indoor track meets.
Yeah, they always go through a runway. They disappear.
Bohr pulls it foul. Justin Bohr doubled off the wall in straightaway center. That knocked home the first run. He walked in the third. Two and 1. Big kid out of George Mason. Homered and doubled against Lorenzen up in Cincinnati. RBI double here. A good changeup gets him, but Miami tacks on a run. Jose Fernandez is sharp, and Miami has a 2-0 lead. Miami Marlins All-Star Game watch party coming up on Tuesday the 14th at Brewers Room in Pompano. Watch the Major League Baseball All-Star Game right here on Fox. Win All-Star memorabilia, tickets to upcoming Marlins games, enjoy Corona Light specials throughout the All-Star Game. That looks like a party. That is what a watch party should look like. You almost want to say top of the order, but it's actually bottom of the order, the very bottom. Billy Hamilton in the 9th spot. We've got Brandon Phillips and Joey Votto. Jose Fernandez has been dynamite tonight. 6 strikeouts, no walks. That's exactly what he did last Thursday when he beat the Giants. Fastball, Hamilton lines it foul. It's a 4-game series. That means tomorrow night, Friday night at the ballpark. Saturday 4 o'clock start, Sunday 1 o'clock start. Better hurry, Mathis. Wow, that's a nice play. As athletic a catcher as you'll find. Guy that was recruited to play quarterback at Florida State, and he kind of had to bounce out on his knees to get it.
Also, while he was doing that, he had to make the decision. Is this going to stay fair, or can I let it go foul? He makes that quick decision and pops up and gets the throw to first base in time to get a speedy guy in Billy Hamilton. A lot of things happened there.
Brandon Phillips now the top of the order. Swing and a miss at a breaking ball. Watching Jose Fernandez tonight, we both have seen a guy that, despite striking out 6 and walking no one, seems to be aiming for the late innings, conserving his energy, trying to work with an economy of pitches.
Absolutely. And he has done that. He's accomplished it so far. 68 pitches.
Breaking ball, and Phillips got it into left field for a hit. Morse has it. So the game tomorrow night is a 7 o'clock game. Marlins Live gets you ready at 6:30. It's brought to you by your South Florida Honda dealers. Giancarlo talks about his injury and the rehab. Friday chat with the manager, Dan Jennings. Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine will be all dressed up and ready to go at 6:30. After the Phillips single, Joey Votto and then Todd Frazier.
Votto 0 for 2. He's made some good pitches. Jose has using the changeup to the Reds' left-handed hitting first baseman.
The rest of the series pitching matchups: Mike Leake, who pitched well against the Marlins in Cincinnati. David Phelps for Miami. That's tomorrow night. Former Marlin Anthony DeSclafani against Matt Latos on Saturday. Of course, those two guys, principals in the trade between the two clubs in the offseason. And then Johnny Cueto and Dan Herron on Sunday, headed towards the All-Star game back in Cincinnati on Tuesday night.
Johnny Cueto on quite a run. He has had 3 consecutive outings that have been tremendous.
An enormous amount of All-Star programming on both Fox Sports 1 and Fox. One and 2 to Votto, who knows the drill as far as being an all-star. 4 times he's been named to that team. For Aroldis Chapman, it's his 4th straight all-star selection for the Reds. And he gets Votto again. There's strikeout number 7.
And you're talking about a guy who has such a great eye at the plate. 67th time that Votto has struck out. He's walked 53. So that's the kind of hitter he is. And remember, after the breaking ball, which was the pitch before, then Jose went upstairs to get him with a good live fastball.
Todd Frazier takes a strike.
Jose's been around 95, 97 all night. I think he's touched 98 a couple of times.
Mathis out for a quick word of counsel. See the pitch range. There were a few times early in that start against the Giants where you could sense Jose was just rearing back and throwing as hard as he could, getting to 99. I really haven't sensed that in this start. Yeah, he's been up at 98, but it's been a smooth 98.
Yeah, that was a smooth curveball, too. That's the little slower breaking ball. He has that hard, sharp biting slider. And he had Frazier fooled on that curveball. A lot of options here. What's he go with? Does he go up with fastball? Does he come back, get him to chase the curve or slider?
Well, he shook him off, and Jose just pointed to Jeff Mathis to say, hey, whatever you want, I'm in.
Tried the slider, missed with it. Frazier laid off.
You've got one pitching coach there, and the other pitching coach crouched behind home plate. And another one with his ball club down 2-0. Jeff Pico.
Frazier showing some pretty good discipline, laying off those last 2 pitches.
Tried to come through the front door, so to speak. So he's tried with breaking balls after 2 strikes. That's run the count full, 3-2. Phillips on the move at first.
Again, he's gone with 4 breaking balls in a row, 4 sliders in a row.
And this the type of at bat that will push that pitch count up. A 7-pitch inning in the 5th, but here in the 6th. The numbers have climbed 80 in the game. Still 80 pitches, just 19 balls. Got him! Strikeout number 8. Down goes, well, Frazier. And Jose is on tonight. 8 strikeouts. And a 2-0 lead over the Reds. It's bottom 6. Michael Morse. And he fouls a fastball out of play. Jose Fernandez coming in. Almost as if to say, hey, I got plenty in the tank. So he went 6 in that opener against the Giants. He's through 6 here. Giving up 4 hits, struck out 8. And more swings and misses.
Well, so far 12 innings for Jose, 14 strikeouts and no walks.
Baseball's best players headed to Cincinnati on Tuesday. Home field advantage of the World Series on the line. Our coverage of the 2015 Major League Baseball All-Star Game begins next Tuesday, July 14th, 7 Eastern on Fox, and streams live on Fox Sports Go. Derek Dietrich fouls it off.
They've really, and unless Derek Dietrich adjusts, they'll continue to do this. They've really worked him with hard fastballs up in the zone. Dietrich, a very good low ball hitter, and they've stayed away from that and worked him up.
How do you make that adjustment? You were a left-handed hitter.
Part of it is trying to stay away from it. And if it's a ball, lay off of it. It's hard to do because it's an enticing pitch, because you see it.
Like a fast food cheeseburger.
I was kind of the opposite, though. Most left-handed hitters are low fastball hitters. I was kind of the opposite. I always liked to pitch up.
1-2. Dietrich hit by a pitch and struck out in the 3rd. Five strikeouts for Lorenzen. And give this right-hander credit. He's hung in there. He's had some innings that haven't started out well. He's limited the damage to just 2 runs. Dietrich got a hold of that one, a hanging breaking ball, and it hops off the wall. Derek Dietrich with a double.
Yeah, the other thing you do to try to solve that dilemma is when you get that pitch to hit it hard. And Dietrich did. There's the breaking ball. Kind of backed up. Little like slider, backs up, middle of the plate. And no problem for Derek Dietrich.
Dietrich at second. Cole Gillespie 0 for 2. Gillespie, a guy that has hopscotched in a few organizations in the big leagues, parts of 4 years in the majors. A Diamondback, a Giant, a Cub, a Mariner.
And basically, Rich, what Dan Jennings is doing is going with a hot hand. Earlier in the year, we probably would have seen Ichiro in this situation against a right-handed pitcher, but the struggles of Ichiro, who did break out of his long slump. He had a base hit last night. But going with a hotter hand in Cole Gillespie.
Into the corner, Gillespie. It is foul. Just foul. Dietrich obviously would have scored. Gillespie around first. The Marlins will take a peek at it. It's almost like he wanted to stop and watch to see if it was fair, but he had to run to second as Bruce kind of disappeared into the corner. Let's see where it lands. This is a reviewable call, and it looks like it's foul, just foul.
Boy, that was close.
It's one thing I would really like to see as replay moves along and expands and sharpens its focus, so to speak. With all the GoPro camera technology, why not mount a couple of those right on the foul poles to get a clean look at the lines. Because often on plays like that in a television truck, you're scrambling to find which camera had the best look. And a lot of cameras don't have that right down the line look.
Which every ballpark now has the overhead camera for base runners.
Right. Why not put a couple cameras?
Couple more on the foul poles.
Put them on the foul poles. Outside corner. Lorenzen comes back and gets a strikeout.
Perfect pitch by Michael Lorenzen. Just 23 years old. So we have Lorenzen, the 23-year-old, and the 22-year-old Jose Fernandez.
Now Mathis, who's bounced out twice to the left side. Time called. The hopper. Burt Badenhop. Cincinnati's bullpen. Mathis fouls it back. Miami's bullpen has been quiet, which tells you that Jose Fernandez, if Mathis reaches, would hit here in the bottom of the 6th. If that wasn't the case, I wouldn't want to be the guy that climbed on deck to tell him that he wasn't going to hit. Mathis with an odd bouncer out to second, and he is out number 3 in the 6th. Jose Fernandez right now throwing a shutout at the Cincinnati Reds, and he comes out for the 7th inning after this.
Welcome back. We don't know over the All-Star break if Giancarlo Stanton will be spending some time in South Beach or in Cincinnati. With the injury, he won't be playing in the game, but he was voted in as an All-Star starter. Today, he talked with us about that and the tough part about not being able to play.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. It's great that I got voted in and to be a part of that, but not to be able to participate sucks.
Stan is feeling a lot better. He does have a lot of stitches still in, waiting for them to heal. Then they'll get taken out. And he said then he's got to build up the strength. Right now he's working on keeping the rest of his body in shape. Said he's doing a lot of sponge work with keeping the muscles going in his hand. That's going to be the biggest thing for him. But everybody says if you get a break with this, and I say that in quotes, you get 4 weeks. If not, it could be up to 6 weeks. But as he said, guys, he won't break it again. It's gone.
That's right. We just saw a player that had a break like that in each hand, Pablo Sandoval. 0-2. Popped up third base side. Dietrich and it's over the dugout. Jose Fernandez has lived to see the 7th inning, and it's by his own doing. An economy of pitches. You see the Reds box score. Not a lot of damage up and down the lineup. Marlon Byrd's double, the only extra base hit. Jay Bruce 0 for 2. Jay Bruce 0 for 3.
Oh, that changeup. The bottom falls out of that. It has been devastating to the left-handed hitters tonight in this Reds lineup.
And strikeout number 9.
Wow. Boy, he's been efficient, and he's been efficient with quality stuff.
Fastball, a strike. This is start number 2. He still has not walked a hitter. Byrd has another hit. Marlon Byrd's 2 for 3.
A few of the base hits have been on that breaking ball too tonight.
Now is a good time to tweet your strongest fan photo. FL Data Strong Fan. You might see yourself in an upcoming telecast brought to you by T-Mobile. Foghorn Leghorn appearance. That last drop in. Suarez. Ground ball, base hit left field.
And another base hit on the breaking pitch.
So the Reds have put together a couple of one-out singles.
Their first inning with 2 men on base.
Mike Dunn is up. Barnhart has bounced out, flied out.
Of course, remember, you have Barnhart, and then the number 8 spot is the pitcher. So Brian Price has probably his main option, Skip Schumacher, over there on his bench.
That misses. It's 2-0. There's a couple things in play right now. You've got a star pitcher who's about to turn 23 at the end of the month, coming back from Tommy John surgery. This is his 2nd start in the big leagues. This will be his 91st pitch. As well, it's a 2-0 game. So it's one thing to say, you know what, Jose's got enough to get through this inning in terms of pitch count. It's another thing to watch the inning and say to yourself, the game's in the balance.
Yeah, and then you also have to balance and realize the competitive nature of Jose out there on the mound. But without question, and here it is, the 7th inning, the most stressful inning that he's had.
Again, the changeup. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So it's a delicate dance for a pitching coach and a manager.
Yeah, if you're Chuck Hernandez, if you're Dan Jennings, you are hoping for a 7, 8, 9, 10 pitch inning here in the 7th. And if he fails to get Barnhart, once the pinch hitter is announced, it might be it.
Count is full. There's 1 out. And time is called. Barnhart steps out. Schumacher is ready on deck. Mathis on his way out to the mound. By nature of the rehab protocol, the throwing program coming back from Tommy John, the rehab starts in the minors, the bullpen work, even his first start. It sounds weird to say this, but at 94 pitches, he's starting to get to uncharted territory, at least for the last year.
Yeah, and especially when you consider the circumstances, couple of men on base, 3-2 pitch coming, 1 out.
Slow grounder hit, shortstop, edge, Gordon's turn, and out at first. Bohr, stumbling from the bag, picked it. The Reds certainly will look at it. And the Marlins will have to linger on the field while we take a look.
We saw it play like that a week or so ago when Justin Bohr went flat on his face but stayed on the bag. It's always deceptive, but you have to watch. He catches it, his toes on the bag, now he comes off the bag. So by that look, it appears that the double play was turned. And how big is that for Jose to make that pitch and get the double play?
7 innings. Jose Fernandez shutting out the Reds. Marlins on top, 9 strikeouts, and this got Jose out of the 7th.
Boy, went with that breaking ball, 3-2, 6-4-3. It was a little close over at first base, but a nice job by Justin Bohr. It's our H.H. Gregg high def play. Throw pulls Bohr a little bit, but he stayed with it. And as we watched, a nice scoop by the big guy, as we watched Jose come off the field, you and I see all the time, there are many games he does not want to come out of. This is not one of them. He's not going to argue tonight.
No, but even before he got to the dugout, as you saw it, he was already smiling at Dan Jennings and Chuck Hernandez as if to say, I know, I'm done. Former Marlin, Bert Badenhop. Ground ball machine. Ichiro hits one of those. A 2-hopper. Brandon Phillips. 1 pitch, 1 out. It's what the hopper does.
Well, we saw Ichiro last night in Boston snap an 0 for 29 with a base hit, but with that ground ball out, Ichiro just 1 for his last 33.
Now D. Gordon, busy night for him. 2 hits, a walk, 2 runs, 3 stolen bases, and he's been caught stealing once. bunt is foul. Burke Badenhop did not have a good start as a Red. April was a nightmare. Since then, though, back to the same guy that Marlin fans remember. Lots of ground balls. His ERA at 2.5.
He just had started to turn things around when the Marlins were in Cincinnati.
Harrisburg High School and Bowling Green State University. He and Nancy Olson, our friend, former director of the Marlins Foundation, could sing that fight song quite well. I Ziggy Zumba or something like that. 1-2. Marlon Byrd makes a catch. And there's 2 outs in the 7th. Tomorrow, head on over to Fox Sports 1, special edition of America's pregame Salute to Victory, featuring the United States women's national team after their historic victory at the 2015 Women's World Cup. Complete coverage, the ticker tape parade live from New York City begins at 11 a.m. Eastern. Fox Sports 1 streams live on Fox Sports Go, and then of course Marlins and Reds tomorrow night, 6:30. Yelich 0 for 2 with a walk.
You can see the confidence Brian Price has in bringing in Burke Badenhop with left-handers coming to the plate.
Badenhop, his nickname. Price certainly admired his work with the Brewers, Red Sox, Marlins. The nickname because of his name, but he also, after delivering a pitch, oftentimes will literally hop on the mound. Kind of the opposite of Carter Capps, who hops before he pitches it. Another ground ball out. 1, 2, 3. Go the Fish to the 8th. 2-0 Miami. Highlights here. 2-0 Miami.
Boy, a guy who's had good at-bats against Michael Lorenzen has been Justin Bohr. He homered against him in Cincinnati. Big double there to give the Marlins their first run of the game. An interesting 5th inning. A little indecision on both parts. On Barnhart, on D. Gordon. But the quickness of D. Gordon allows him to reach 3rd. And with him at 3rd base, Danny Echeverria hits the ground ball to short. Had he been at 2nd, he would have just gone over to 3rd on that double play. So he comes in to score with some alert base running. He has 3 stolen bases tonight. 94 pitches for Jose. 7 innings, 6 shutout innings, no walks. He still hasn't walked a batter this year in 13 innings and 9 strikeouts.
Carter Capps on the mound for the Marlins. And a variety of changes out in the outfield as well. See Capps' numbers. He's had a Outstanding season. Ichiro, remember, pinch hit. He'll go into the outfield. Caps will go into Michael Morse's spot. Bo Gillespie. Christian Yelich. And so Morse is out. Skip Schumacher, who was hoping to get up last inning, ends up hitting here to lead off the 8th. Billy Hamilton, Brandon Phillips to follow for the Reds.
Big base hit in Cincinnati for Skip Schumacher. I think this is a more ideal entrance for Carter Capps when he starts an inning.
Well, Capps, as we saw on the road trip, had a couple of outings where, one in particular, where things didn't go as they usually have with him. And usually it's an inning in the books and 2 strikeouts and 3 outs. That great at bat, Xander Bogaerts, one of the best at bats we've seen all year. Capps fell behind 3-0, came back 3-2. Bogaerts kept fighting off fastballs and then knocked one into right center and drove in 3 runs.
And remember, he fell behind with all fastballs, so he hadn't been able to at least show Bogaerts that slider for a strike. A little different story here to Schumacher. He's been able to at least show him the breaking ball for a strike. That makes a world of difference.
So a better environment.
Carter Capps has recorded at least 1 strikeout in 20 of his 21 appearances.
There's that slider, and Schumacher just got a piece of it. Schumacher, one of the original students of Mark McGwire. When McGwire was out of the game, started to serve as a hitting tutor, so to speak, for hitters in Southern California. Schumacher was one of those guys. McGwire obviously would go on, swing and a miss. McGwire would end up in St. Louis, now the Dodgers hitting coach. This is a 4-game series. Tomorrow night, game 2. Chevron brings you the starters: Mike Leake, David Phelps. Right-handers on the menu tomorrow night, 6:30 for Marlins Live.
The other thing, Rich, with the start of Jose tonight, it allows the organization to get together and figure out the rotation after the All-Star break. Obviously, Jose would pitch one of those games in Philadelphia, but you have to determine would it be the first one, the second one. So it allows Dan Jennings to kind of set things up for the second half.
That's not a fun thing, right? Square to bunt and then it's 98 at your head.
Yeah, once you square, there's nowhere to go on a pitch that's up and in.
Yeah, not that far up, but it was a euphemism, so to speak. For in your ear, kid. Look out for in your ear.
Watch out for in your ear, kid.
Reds with a pair of arms, Ryan Matthews, J.J. Hoover. Of course, at the back of their pen, these may be the 2 most feared relievers, most uncomfortable relievers to face right now in the National League: Aroldis Chapman and Carter Capps. Hamilton lifts it to right. Ichiro is there. 2 outs. Extraordinary moments happen every night in baseball, but on one night they all happen in one place. Don't miss the 86th All-Star Game. Coverage begins 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on Fox, July 14th, Tuesday in Cincinnati. As Jason Jackson would say, the Natty. There's Chapman. Yeah, always nice to get a visit from Heat pre- and post-game host Jason Jackson,
who is as big a Cincinnati Red fan as you'll find.
Actually headed to Cincinnati tomorrow, he told us. Visit family and friends.
Ball and a strike. Brandon Phillips. Nine strikeouts, no walks, 7 innings, 94 pitches for Jose Fernandez. There he is, got the Reds cap on, but he made sure to come to our booth first, to visit with us before seeking out the Reds television booth. Tom Brenneman and Chris Welch.
Got one of his sons, Justin, with him.
Yeah, he knows that red light. It just missed. Someday, I think every seat in a ballpark, maybe 20 years from now, will have the pitch tracking widget in it. Yelich. 1, 2, 3 for Carter Caps. 2-0 Miami. Checkers presents our post-game offering. Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine are not there yet. Adam right now has had to fight off the many fans, paparazzi, hangers on.
Look at that nice fan they have there to keep them.
The chilled water, that is from New Zealand, a hidden spring in New Zealand that's actually in Conine's contract. That and the red M&Ms and those little hot dog appetizers. Conine very particular. Those two in their trailer right now, but they'll be on the set soon. Ryan Matthews
getting final touches on their makeup.
Last year it was only blue M&Ms. This year Conine's gone red. And Echeverria, a big swing, fouls it off. Jose Fernandez got the sweatshirt on.
quick chat there with the Jordanic Valdespie.
Bert Badenhop worked a scoreless 7th. Matthews gets Echeverria, Bohr, and Morse. And A.J. Ramos in the bullpen. Fernandez, if the Marlins do deliver the win, his record at home just continues to grow. And he has yet to taste defeat in this ballpark. That's amazing. His next start will be on the road. There's no question about that.
Actually, his next couple of starts with the length of the road trip: Philadelphia, Arizona, and San Diego.
Echeverria walks. Start number 22 at home, 13-0 coming in. Chance to go 14-0 in this building. Bohr hits it hard. Votto's got it. Nifty throw there. Wow.
Wow.
As creative a double play as you will see. A hot smash that put Votto in a compromising spot.
Watch the way he throws. A little flip. He keeps it inside the line. 3-6-3 after picking a shot hit by Justin Bohr. There's the flip. I don't know how he made such a good throw with the flip like that. It's one of the reasons Joey Votto has won a Gold Glove.
Miguel Rojas. This is the pitcher spot, and Rojas gets his first at bat of the night. Reds will have Votto, Frazier, Bruce, and Bird, if necessary, in the ninth. And A.J. Ramos is ready to go. Matthews strikes out Rojas. A.J. Ramos trying to save it for Jose Fernandez. Florida Honda dealer. By Kubota. For more information or to find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. And by Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealer. Visit us at FloridaCoastEQ.com. Marlins Park tonight, the Fish and the Reds opening up a 4-game weekend series. Miguel Rojas will stay in the ball game. Rojas at third, and A.J. Ramos. These next 4 games, an opportunity to put the finishing touches on a wonderful first half for Ramos.
Numbers across the board, Rich, just fantastic. Opponents hitting 138. Great ratio of strikeouts to walks. And A.J. has given up just 18 base hits in almost 40 innings.
Last 10 appearances, just 2 hits and 2 walks. Votto first. This is not an easy part of the lineup. Votto, Frazier, Bruce. Votto pulls it foul.
You have to make your choices by making the defensive move. Dan Jennings with Rojas after he hit, staying in to play third base. Because the first batter, should it go to a bottom of the 9th inning, would be Dietrich, who's out of the game now. That's Ramos in that spot.
Changeup, and it's 0-2. Votto struck out twice against Jose, who punched out 9. Other numbers to consider for Ramos in making it an argument that he belongs, or at least deserves consideration for the All-Star game. 4th among National League relievers in strikeouts, 47. 3rd in ERA, 1.16. Average against, 2nd best among National League relievers.
We've talked about it before, but this is a situation for hitters when they face most closers who have 1 or 2 pitches. You know, if you're Votto, you'd look for one of those 2, but with the assortment that A.J. has, it's a lot different scenario for any hitter. He gets a changeup.
And it just gets by Bohr, who sprawls on the baseline. Votto on his way to 2nd. Ichiro has it, and the Reds have life in the 9th.
You know, you just, every once in a while, you have to give credit to the hitter. That was a good pitch. Changeup by A.J. Ramos to a really good hitter. There it is. Down, had Votto fooled and had him out front. But with 2 strikes, he really guards the plate well and sneaks that over the bag and by Bohr.
Get over there! Yeah.
Now Frazier. Votto at 2nd. Todd Frazier has clubbed 25 home runs.
Ramos has allowed just the 1, the big one up in Toronto by Encarnacion.
Two and 0. It's not surprising that even though he's been out for well over a week, Giancarlo Stanton still leads the National League in home runs, 27. Bryce Harper, Todd Frazier at 25. That's 3 and 0.
Right now, trying to get the rhythm, get back into a groove. And A.J. Ramos all over the place, pitching to Frazier.
Frazier on 3-0 took a rip, and he fouls it back.
Yeah, he got the home run hitter. Realize the last, don't know if Frazier will continue on, but the last Cincinnati Red to lead the National League in home runs. He actually led the league back-to-back years in home runs. George Foster, 77 and 78, and 52 home runs in 77.
That long ago. That's incredible, especially the size of that ballpark right now in Cincinnati. That's a strike. You would think like Adam Dunn.
Yeah, Jay Bruce never led the league, but he always seems to have 25 or 30.
Griffey even had some years in there. There were a few years where he wasn't healthy. To come.
There are moments, especially for a closer, a guy who's in there for one inning. There are moments that can really turn things around. If AJ comes back and gets Frazier after falling behind 3-0, that would be one of the moments, and you look at all of a sudden the momentum to go on his side.
Votto's at second. Frazier hits it to left and hits it deep. Yelich is back at the track, makes the catch.
Right about now, going through Todd Frazier's mind is, where would that have been at Great American Ballpark? They would have had a chance.
MLB.TV Premium. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand, and it's all in true HD. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget. Need I say more? Visit MLB.com for details.
Doesn't get easier.
Jay Bruce.
Jay Bruce has quietly put together a very solid career. Here's a guy, he's 28 years old. And right now, Jay Bruce has 194 career home runs.
Ball and a strike.
Not going to do it on that good changeup. Rotation. Beauty.
Last year, though, a career low in home runs for Bruce, 18. Everybody okay? Craig, you all right in there? John Tui, too, made it through. A lot of Carl Pavano's friends in there came down from Boston.
They knew Carl wasn't going to be here. They have a better view.
Votto still at second. 1-2 from Ramos.
A little slip on that last pitch. You see the essence of changing speeds, though. Remember that good changeup that had Bruce fooled, and then the fastball, how late he was on it, hitting that ball into the camera well.
Ramos again with an odd finish. He's a guy that usually finishes with that back leg high.
Bruce went after it.
He's had to battle in this inning, but he has made some good pitches when he's needed. Change up again, and Jay Bruce fooled.
Now Marlon Byrd. Home run power for sure, 14 of them this year. Got jammed, popped him up. Bohr, Ramos says, my ball, my save, I'll take it. Ball game, Marlins win it 2-0. Jose Fernandez is 14-0 in this ballpark. He has won both of his starts this year. They've both been here, and he was terrific tonight. Ramos, the Bulldog, wasn't leaving anything to chance. Consecutive home starts without a loss to start a career. Now all by himself in Major League history, getting past David Palmer, who went 21 starts without a loss. Fernandez 22, 14 wins in those 22 starts.
You know, when you're an athlete, the way AJ is, quick reactions, he wanted to take it himself. Thankfully, no collision between AJ Ramos and Justin Bohr. To add to Jose, his home earned run average now in his career has gone down to 1.17.
Miami gets a much needed win here. The Fish had dropped 4 in a row. Win number 36 on the season. And they start this 4-game series off with a win. It continues tomorrow night. D. Gordon at the top of the lineup had a nice night. 3 stolen bases, 2 hits, 2 runs. Justin Bohr, the RBI double. Marlins got a run on a double play ball. And that's all it took, with Jose Fernandez being spectacular again. 9 strikeouts, no walks, 94 pitches, 6 hits. And a 2-0 win for the Fish.
No Cincinnati Red got beyond second base in this ball game tonight.
Tomorrow night, the Marlins and the Reds back at it. David Phelps, Mike Leake. Remember, Saturday is an afternoon game at 4:10. Sunday is a 1:10 start. And Jose making that familiar trek over to speak with Craig Minervini, something he's done a lot. It's a home start. He gets a win. He also gets a visit with Craig.
Yes, he does, after about 45 kisses with various family members, and nothing sweeter than that for UNO to have them on hand to watch you in start number 2.
You know, I'm lucky to have a great family. You know, and you know, I thank them every day that I'm on the mound, and you know, I'm so lucky and I'm so blessed to go out there, you know, on the mound, and you know, get a chance to pitch, and you know, get a big chance to, you know, to go out there for my teammates and give all I got.
We feel lucky to watch you. What about start number 2? What was different about this one? Was it less amp, less energy? You
know, I thought I handled myself really well on that first start. I thought I was going to be more amped up. And I tried to keep my cool in this start. I was actually really excited. You know, I was warming up. You know, Jeff saw that right away, and he came and talked to me right away before I started warming up. And he goes, "Hey, you know, we gotta control it. We gotta turn to ourselves, and we gotta do what you do." But you know, the other team is a really good team. They give me some tough at bats. They got some good ball players, and you know, I think that our team played better today, and we came on top.
The 1-2-3 first inning was nice for you, probably, to get settled in.
You know, really special. You know, talking to Jeff, and you know, the first inning is a really important inning. It's a really important inning for our team. It's a really important inning for, you know, for our hitters. You know, to go back out there and, you know, try to get some runs, and you know, I was just lucky to get a good inning, and you know, come back in here and give my teammates a chance to win a ball game.
You look like your command was back where you wanted, almost, if you will, mid-season form. You were using your off-speed, your change. Your obviously was devastating slider. Talk about how your pitches maybe were different than game 1. You still had the blazing fastball too.
And I was excited with it. You know, the way that my location was today. I still miss a couple of times. Yes, I still miss a couple of times. You know, I got away with it. I missed some good pitches, but you know, I think that was a big win for our team. Once needed. You know, I'm just lucky and excited and feel blessed that I can go out there and pitch.
What about that 7th inning when your pitch count was good up a little bit? Then they got the base hit, they got the second hit, and it was really a precarious spot. You might have been a pitch away from actually leaving the ball game. 3-2 count, and you get a monster ground ball that you're able to turn 2 on.
You know, I wasn't trying to go out there, and I wasn't worried about my pitch count. Honestly, I was just trying to get that guy out, and you know, try to finish that inning. But my goal was try to get that guy out, and like I said, try to give my team a chance to win a ball game. So.
How big was it when you see the ball go up the middle, and then it was a great turn? It was not a routine double play by any means.
It was really good play. You know, we have a shortstop, and I think the best in the league. We got a second baseman that's really amazing, and you know, we have a good group of guys that want to compete in there. You know, competing the butt off out there, and you know, get playing first base by Boer. And I think it was a great team win today.
I'll tell you, another great play in this game was Jeff Mathis on that Billy Hamilton, he's a tough guy to face. You really did a great job with him when he got on first base in the 3rd inning. You managed to keep him over at first base. It was still obviously a 1-0 ball game then. Talk about how you alter your thoughts there with Hamilton at first.
You know, I think that, you know, everything that I did today, you know, obviously, you know, I think that Mathis is, you know, is a big part of it. You know, he kept me calm. You know, he told me when to pick up, when not to, and you know, I think that it was that play that he made. I mean, you know, that's impressive. I had no shot to make it. The way that he got up and threw the ball. If you see, you know, I slapped him in the butt after because, I mean, it was a great play. There's nothing that you can say about it. So
big play for him. So you go into the record books now because you started your career at home, 14-0, and through 22 starts, no one has ever gone that long without losing at home. What does that mean to you?
It means that our team got to win today, and that's what I care about. I think all those records they're good and they look good on paper, but you know, the most important part is that we got a team win today.
And here's another nice thing: your weight is going to get less and less. Although you got to get through the All-Star break, but once you get on the other side, then you're going to have the old 5 days, and here we go again.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Something I've been looking forward for the last 14 months. So, like I said, I thank to God and I'm blessed to step on that mound every day. And you know, I give a big thank to to the people that were there, and you know they believe in me and they know who they are. I'm not going to say their name, but a lot of love from this side, and I owe them my life. And thanks to my doctor every day of the year.
All right, good going. Thank you, Jose.
All right, thanks.
All right, there's a lot of people here. You may not know their names, but they know his name, and they're having fun watching him. As are we, guys. Let's go back up to you. 2-0 Marlins.
Yeah, fun to watch and much needed for the fish. Jose Fernandez comes out and dominates the Reds tonight. The bullpen cleans it up. 9 strikeouts, no walks. He hasn't walked a hitter in 2 starts. And the Marlins beat Cincinnati in game 1 of 4. Back to wrap it up when we return.